welcome to the August 26th Goffstown Select Board meeting. Our first order is Pledge of Allegiance. Would you all please join me? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business, or second order of business, is the acceptance and correction of minutes from 8/12/24, public and non-public.
I'll make a motion on the 8/12/24 public and non-public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Kelly. Any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm staying, no one here. We have some announcements. I have a proclamation to read. And proclamation reads, whereas the Goffstown town employees make this community a better place to live in, to work in, and visit through their daily duties in the town hall offices, the library, police department, fire station, and Department of Public Works and Parks and Rec Department. And whereas the public employees of the town of Goffstown are committed to exhibiting the highest standards of professional excellence, creativity, skill, and customer service. And whereas day in and day out, they provide the quality and quantity of diverse services required and expected by the citizens of Goffstown with efficiency, effectiveness, and integrity. And whereas without our public employees providing enjoyment for our citizens and visitors for the safety and well-being of all they are in contact with, and for maintaining the safety of our roads, buildings, facilities, then the citizens, businesses, drivers, and visitors could be in jeopardy. And whereas the town of Goffstown recognizes the dedication and talents of our public employees as well as to the value of the services they render. And now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Select Board, Town of Goffstown, County of Hillsborough, State of New Hampshire, by the virtue and authority vested in us, to hereby proclaim the week of August 26, 2024 through September 1st, 2024 as Town Employee Recognition Week. And that is throughout the town of Goffstown, New Hampshire. We urge all the citizenry of town of Goffstown to recognize that day as such, or actually that week as such. Thank you. And congratulations to all of them. It is time for public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? Steve? We still call him Chief Moyer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Members of the board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very brief. I'm here, and stop me if you've already decided this. I'm here just to give a pitch to the board. I attended this past Monday at the high school a session with Anthem and the New Hampshire Health Trust about the new offering for town retirees who are on Medicare, about a new plan that Anthem has worked with the Health Trust, which they say is going to save money for folks. As you folks may know, those of us who are retired and on Medicare can stay on the town's plan. The town does not contribute towards that. We have a benefit through the New Hampshire retirement system. It's a contribution towards the premium cost. Doesn't cover all of it, but it's a help. One of the issues that came up at that session at the high school is that the Anthem plan, it's a Medicare Advantage plan with a drug benefit. Some of us in the town are on the Anthem Comp 3 plan, but without the drug benefit, and we get it through one of the Part D offerings through Medicare. So we'd like to have the option of staying on that plan if it proves to be more beneficial. So that's my pitch to the board, because one of the issues that came up is can we stay on that plan? That's what we asked Anthem and the Health Trust. And they said, yes, if the municipality agrees to allow the retirees to stay on the plan. So my pitch is, please give consideration to that. I don't know when you're deciding this or if it's
We have
already-
it scheduled for sometime in September.
Okay.
We'll have a presentation on it to the board.
Okay, all right. So my pitch is give consideration to it. My understanding is on the school side, they have already made that decision, and they will allow school retirees to stay on the plan. So I
So your
understand.
pitch is to stay on the plan.
My pitch to the board is, I don't know if I'm going to stay on the
Oh,
plan
I'm just saying,
yet.
yeah, we pitch to the
My
board.
pitch to the board is allow us that option to stay on the
To
plan.
leave the
If it-
option open, I get it.
Right, because it may prove more beneficial to stay on it. I won't know until I sit down and see the new rates when they come out in October of my Part D plan. I'm on WellCare. What they did say, everything's going to go up in terms of the Part D. So it may be beneficial to switch over, or it may be beneficial to stay on it. I have to sit down and do the computations. But
Okay.
allow us that option, is
Sure.
my pitch. So,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and we'll move on. We have an appointment with Jan Soderquist, reference Leslie Drive. Or the pair of you can come up with the Soderquist.
I would flip the coin, but she
Oh, there you go. You were the smart one.
put me in still.
And we're on page 6 of our packet.
And immediately behind the memo, there is a fold-out subdivision plan that's been kind of highlighted to show, this is the 1975 subdivision in question, that shows the Soderquist property and the dedicated right-of-way that is Leslie Lane.
Okay?
All right, so the reason that we're here is our neighbors in lot 5, I believe it is, or 6, notified us that their house was on our property. And since it had been that way for so long, we had no choice, but obviously we worked it out as neighbors. However, by doing that, the frontage of our property is not able to be a driveway into our property because of wetlands. Their house, which is 3/4 of their house, is on our land, and that's the only solid ground. So when we built the house, there was a right-of-way called Leslie Drive right-of-way. And as we looked into it, we were told that it really isn't an intention of the town to turn that into a Leslie Drive right-of-way, which is fine with us. But the bearing question is, who owns that land? And I think the recommendation was that would the select board release that right away? And then we would have to have a real estate attorney work with us and our neighbors so that if any of their land was part of that right of way, we would have a gratuity arrangement that would be access for our home. Otherwise, we would be landlocked. Sort of.
So you're looking to get that right away, or that, is it a class anything road, or is it just paper road?
So when the subdivision, Steve Griffin, the planner, did some research back in 2000, I believe it was 2007. He determined that the select board approved the subdivision in 1975, and they dedicated Leslie Drive, or I think it's Leslie Drive.
Leslie Drive or Leslie Way, something like that.
Yes, and he was unable to find any record of the select board accepting that as a public way. Normally, what happens under the procedure now is a subdivision's approved, a developer goes in and builds it and will build the road to town standards. And after it's built to town standards, they will come forward and the board will accept the right-of-way and it becomes a Class 5 road. This is what would be called a dedicated right-of-way, so it's a paper street. It's shown on a plan. Because of the timing of it, the board does have the ability to release the dedicated right-of-way because it has not, it's been over 20 years and it was not built. We provided that information to the Soderquist. We have not expended any time with the town attorney of what that process would be or anything. Wanted to bring it to the board to see what your thoughts were on it, and if you wanted us to work with the town attorney and use resources to come to a resolution and bring it back to the board.
I'll comment on that. One thing that we heard was you're going to take away the designation of this paper road, what have you, and that was an alarm bell for us. Because, okay, you're going to take it away, so aren't you going to recognize it as, it's almost 50 years, 47 years we've been using that. And it's two neighbors. We've got one on the right side and one on the left side. Sullivan's and the Peabodys.
Trying to think of the way I want, can it be resurrected if it's, once it's gone?
The right-of-way. So it's my understanding that if the select board were to discontinue that, that paper road, that does not necessarily extinguish the Soderquist or the neighbors' rights to pass and repass. It's just a little bit less defined on, I know they have an existing driveway that, is it shared to a point and then it splits to the two houses?
No, it's just shared,
It's just shared?
yep.
Okay. So, and I think that was another reason to bring it forward to you, to see if you wanted us to work with both neighbors to try and come to some type of resolution for that. Because normally when you release a paper street or a dedicated street, it's split down the middle to both abutting property owners, and they
And
share.
there's no intention on our part that the town is going to plow or do anything of that nature.
Yeah, but we have to, I'm thinking about, 50 years from now, when you decide to sell it, if a developer wants to come in there, he's gonna say, well, there was a road, dedicated there at one time, now we'd like to revive that road and build more lots or something in there. That's my question, and I think that's more of a legal type question, right?
Yes.
The flip side of that is, we don't want this to be a problem for our kids
Right.
when we sell it to them, when they take it over. Because we just experienced that in another situation.
Right.
So the plan we're looking at, prepared by John T. Hills, is the orange line, is that the right-of-way that we're talking about?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that orange.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Kelly?
Are the neighbors amenable to this decision, do you know, Derek?
We haven't talked to the neighbors.
Okay.
I wanted to see what the board's pleasure was.
We have talked with one of the neighbors, and since I really didn't know what I was talking about, I thought I'd wait till after this meeting to talk to one of the others. One of the neighbors is here with us tonight.
Okay, so what we're trying to accomplish tonight is this board amenable to just continuing that road?
Well, I guess my question would be is, do you want to maintain that dedicated right-of-way, that paper street, and leave it untouched? Or do you want to authorize me to reach out to legal counsel to come up with a process for giving you the option to release the paper street?
I would have to see, I would like to know, and I'm sure we all would like to know, the advantage or disadvantage of keeping it or releasing it.
That was my next question. What are our other options?
So your option is to do nothing, and it remains that dedicated paper street. It has not been accepted by the town, so it is a dedicated right-of-way, but it's it's not a public street. The one thing I didn't provide to you in your packet was a copy of the map of the area, because this does terminate, this dedicated way does terminate at an abutting property that has frontage on Goffstown Back Road. It's a rather large parcel. That has
Oh, it goes all the way down there?
No, this parcel does not, but the next, it's shown, I think it says 67, well, where 67C is written on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's not a lot designation, that's, I believe that's a soil type.
Yeah.
But below that, south of that, there is actually one large lot that goes all the way to Goffstown Back Road.
So,
So I don't know if the planning board, you would probably be wise to ask planning board on what their recommendation would be, because there's always been the process of interconnectivity of streets.
so potentially a developer could come in there and say, okay, we want to develop this, but there was at one time a road there, we want to be able to use it. It could be just a cul-de-sac from Goffstown Back Road up to their property line, technically, right?
Potentially.
Yeah.
So, Peter, did I hear correctly that there's now a building there that's straddling, at least in part, that right-of-way? Did I hear that correctly?
I'm sorry.
Is there a building that's now straddling that right-of-way, at least in part? Did I
No,
hear-
it's straddling their property.
Oh, it's straddling your property line.
The neighbor's house is on, it's,
Got land on both sides.
Okay.
No, the neighbor's house is on our property, and when we consulted our attorney, we basically had to accept that.
And that house is not shown on this Hills plan.
That is,
Yes.
it's closer to the road up in this area, at the kind of, this is a flag lot, if you take away this right of way.
yeah.
So it's up in that area. And I believe you did was there a lot line adjustment?
Yes, it was.
There was a recent lot line adjustment on
Right.
that property.
As neighbors, we just traded land,
Yeah,
so that their house would be on their
own lot.
property,
Yeah.
and we would be, our property would be extended in a different space.
Makes sense.
Neighborly resolution.
The vehicles,
But
the vehicles use this, or is it overgrown?
Vehicles?
the
The
right-of-way,
right-of-way, yeah,
the right-of-way is a driveway that we use to get to our home.
Yeah.
And
And
the
Sullivans,
the
too.
Sullivans also use that same right-of-way to get to their home.
Okay.
And DPW treats it as a private driveway, so they do not do any maintenance or plowing or anything with it.
So I think what we should be doing now, or at least my recommendation is, let's talk to the other two landowners or abutters to that property and see where they stand on this. I mean, we haven't done that, we haven't gotten that far yet.
We have not,
And
no.
we probably should, right?
Yep.
Right.
And were they noticed of this meeting? or-
They were not.
I'm
When it-
here.
Okay.
When-
What Peabody is here.
She's more-
So I have no objection.
You gotta do.
Yeah, well,
to them.
excuse me, ma'am, if you're gonna speak, we need you to come up front and
Oh.
say your name and, are you guys all set? Are you?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. If you wanna come up and speak, that's
But
fine.
before we have a
Oh.
hearing, though, I'm sorry, ma'am, hold on just a moment. Derek, you mentioned the planning board. That
Yeah.
part in the process, would it be most appropriate to go planning board?
Yep.
So there's no requirement that I see in the RSA, but I think it would be a good practice that, to let the planning board know that you are considering discontinuing this
Right. I
this
think that
request
should
or
be-
this,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but I think that both neighbors have to be involved before you get to that.
I agree.
So that, yeah, so I think that's the next step,
okay.
is talking with the neighbors and see where they come, and there may be not a problem with anybody, everybody's happy. You know, and
That
we
is
go
what
from
we
there.
would assume at this point in time.
Yeah, so, but we need to get that
Right.
put to bed first.
And we did present this to the planning board, and they told us we had to come to you.
Right. Okay, I get it. And you wanted to speak, ma'am?
That's Sandy Peabody.
So just so the select board, this is lot, I think it's lot 2 on the plan. So it's just to the east of and bordering on Terrell Hill Road.
Okay. And your name?
Sandra Webb Peabody.
Okay.
And I own Lot 2 on this plan. And I just have always recognized this road to Soderquist and Sullivan's property as their access partly across my land. But certainly, I always thought it was an easement. So I have no objection.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
short and sweet.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, anybody got any other questions? So I think our next step is to talk to the other property
Yeah,
owner.
bring them both in and-
You want to get
I'd like to get a legal opinion on just if there is, again, there's not a process spelled out in the RSA about a public hearing or anything, so I just want to make sure that we're not missing any steps in that. So I'd like to reach out to council on that and have them advise on what the possible solution might be, and then we can involve all three property owners and then also get a recommendation from the planning board.
bring it back to us.
Yes.
Is that okay with you, Jen?
We will be talking to our neighbors as well. I just didn't want to start a conversation prior to coming here.
Well, there's only 3 people that are really involved, but I don't really think we've got much concern over it. I mean, it's really, like you said, it's more of a driveway than anything right now, with
Right.
a shared driveway more or less, so, I mean,
Making sure the legal process is followed
Yeah.
is really
Right.
what we're concerned with.
all right, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. So will we be notified?
I'll be in touch with you. I'll get in touch with you. I'll give you a call. And once I hear back from the attorney.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Next up is the fire
Thank you.
chief.
Tab 7, right?
Yes, you're at tab 7A.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, member of the boards. I have 3 items for you tonight. Which one's the first one, Eric? I need-
The
Paving.
Station 2 paving project?
Okay. So I'm here before you tonight. As you know, this year with CIP, I've kind of shifted what the future of Station 2 might look like. You know, there's been a project to upgrade it for a number of years, and it hasn't moved at all. So what I'd like to do is, you know, start taking small pieces of what's needed to upgrade and renovate that each year in the budget process, and you know, complete that at a lower cost, because it's not, you know, it's not gonna be I think it was 1.46 million. So last year I looked into having the entire parking lot and drainage in that area upgraded, because obviously, because of its age, the drainage system is not flowing correctly. The pavement, asphalt's all cracked, and you know, we have the heavy weight of the apparatus. So the board approved me for $40,000 from the Invest New Hampshire Fund, much to my, well, not really much to my surprise, but after we had someone look at it and get an estimate, it really come up to about $75,000. But that includes stripping that whole area there. They're gonna put in an additional catch basin, and they're gonna repair or strengthen the drainage that's there now. And I'm working with Adam on it, on the project itself. So what I'd like to ask the board is if they could assist us with in obtaining additional funding of approximately $35,000. The difference between the approved $40,000 to complete the project. And I'm also asking the select board to waive the RFP bid process and contract and work with Continental Paving as a sole source vendor. As you know, the town currently has a contract with them with paving, and we may be able to, get some of the savings that they did from the contract that they got now. So I know the next question is, well, where are you gonna get the money? So I asked Danielle and Derek, if they knew of any funds that might be available. And they told me that there is a remaining balance of ARPA funds way back from COVID in the amount of $20,582.93. And then there's funds from still in the Invest New Hampshire funds of $54,709.57. So that would total up to the $75,000. I think it's important to, we're really getting behind on the major maintenance of the station, and I think that'll carry us, a good another 10 years. The only other thing there was, Continental, after this fact, recommended that we go with a high-strength asphalt, to be able to carry the weight of the apparatus, and that's an additional $1,800.
Questions?
Yes.
No, I'm not going to approve something that doesn't go through the bid process. That does nothing but cause problems with other contractors in town saying, why didn't it go through the bid process? It's not right. And we have other contractors in town that would be happy to bid on it, and I think it's only fair that we do that. That's the policy says we do that. We put it out to bid. Kelly?
I have questions. Okay, Chief, so we approved 40,000 from the Invest New Hampshire funds. The MPU funds,
That's the same,
okay, so
Bucket.
this request at the bottom, it says 54,000.
So
Is that the total amount,
that would be
including
the
the 40
total.
we already approved?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
great. And then the ARPA funds, how much is that the remaining balance of the ARPA funds?
Yes, that was the $1.8 million the town received, and the majority was spent on the dispatch, emergency
Towers.
radio, the
Yeah.
towers and everything. Both the local fiscal recovery funds, those ARPA funds, as well as the Invest New Hampshire funds, they need to be spent, or they need to have a signed agreement, not just a PO, but they need to have a signed contract by December 31st. Otherwise, we have to return them.
If I can add to your comment too, I fully understand, that we have a purchasing and bid process. But also in that policy, it talks about, we should try and look for economies of scale. And Continental Paving's a known contractor in this town. I was very pleased with the work they did, behind Station 18. And they have that drainage work experience too. So it's not just, breaking up the pavement and then, regrinding it and set it again. They're gonna do some drainage work. But I do understand what you're saying.
I'm not gonna slap the contractors in town in the face and tell them, we're not gonna give you an opportunity to bid on it, $75,000. That's, I support 99% of what you do, but this time, I believe it needs to go out for bid.
Chief, on that note, did they let you know how long this bid is good for?
Well, they held the prices from last year. No, they didn't say that.
Okay. My other question is there sewer involvement in this project?
No.
Derek, what's the time frame for out to bid?
And our purchasing
Minimum.
policy requests a minimum of 2 weeks.
So the way I see it is, the problem with going this way as opposed to going out to bid is we may get a lower bid. I mean, we may be able to save some money if we put this out to bid.
But the way the process works, it really is not fair.
Oh, I
It's not fair to Continental now, because
I get it.
Continental's price is out there, the way you did it, you put Continental's price out there.
They knew I was coming to the board.
But, I mean, you put the price out there, so if somebody's gonna.
Everybody knows it now.
Everybody knows it now, so if they come to bid, they already have Continental's price. The way the whole thing was done, it's not the way it should have been done.
But if they, and so what happens if they come in overbid? And
Well,
you,
then you're gonna go with the lowest bid.
okay. Low
If
bid, low
Continental's
bid.
low bid, Continental's low bid.
Low
You're gonna
bid.
we're gonna put a bid spec together, and the contractors have to meet the bid spec. You already have it, you pretty much know what the spec is, what you need to have done, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the bid spec you put out for other, and there's a good chance nobody's gonna have time to do it now anyway, but I'm just saying, when you put something out to bid and you put somebody else's price out there, now that sets the cost of the bid. So somebody could come in at $2,000 less because we put the bid out there with a price on it. We put this project out there with a price. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yep.
And not for naught, we went over $1 million in expenditures last year with Continental, so we should be getting a deal.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that leaves, you start doing this all the time, then that leaves it open for hanky-panky down the road somewhere,
I don't even say hanky-panky, you
Well,
gotta throw the local guys a bone, let them at least get the opportunity to bid on it.
Yeah, and I don't think we should make exceptions for this. I agree with you.
And I think I probably steered the chief wrong in this, because last year you approved a very similar project at Station 1 and had Continental, because they were our paving contractor.
But this has now become more than just a paving project, this is
I think they did a little bit
construction.
of, grinding and stuff there as well.
And drainage work. but-
And drainage work as well there, so I think I steered him a little on that one.
Okay, I'll,
Send it out to bid. That way there's no,
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that needs to be done, because that I don't know the exact numbers, that 75,000 numbers out there. Somebody say, I'm gonna come in at 74. And I'll get the bid.
You know what, I'd go Continental if that was the case, because we know them. So we still have that
But the
option.
point is,
Yeah, I know.
how do we know we're getting the best deal for the taxpayers unless we do it?
Pete, would you be willing to let the chief put it out based on we know the bid specs without coming back to have it approved? So they can just post the
No.
RFP?
The guy's still gonna come back to us, we have to approve it. That's just the way it works, I mean, unfortunately, we have this system and rules and regulations of how we do stuff, we just can't keep circumventing the rules.
okay, what's the next one?
The next one is the request for hazard mitigation plan update.
Okay,
You're at 7B for the board members.
so this item here is, we have a hazard mitigation plan in the town, and what the hazard mitigation plan does is, it looks at the town from, 1,000 feet up in the air, looking at the entire town, and it looks at what risks we have, okay? So, we know we're adverse to maybe flooding. We know we can have winter storms. We know because of the travel route through the town, we're very vulnerable to hazardous material. So this plan was done about 5 years ago. And actually, yeah, I think it was about 5 years ago. So every 5 years, let me go back first. Every year, the plan is reviewed, and we just sign off that, you know, things are the same, or you might have different names and stuff. But this time on a plan update, you basically go through the entire plan again. You do some of the, you know, study, you know, the various hazards, see if they've changed or anything like that. So the long and short of it is the total project cost could be $17,499. That is just a very broad estimate that New Hampshire Emergency Management places out. And then they have a federal share. So the town, so they'll cover the majority of it. The town's responsible for a in-kind match of $4,374. And typically what we do is we take the in-kind in the amount of hours we put in to work with the person that's redoing the plan. So I'm looking to, along with your package, there was a commitment letter which the state, you know, sends to fill out, so I just wanted to let you see what that looked like. And that's what it is on hazardous mitigation.
How long does it take to do this hazardous mitigation?
It
To
could
put the
be-
plan together.
It could be at least a year.
Yeah, I think the last time it was better part of a year.
So seeing it's, according to this, the last time it was done was in '21. So it's due again in '26 is what you're saying, if I understand this right.
Yes, yep.
Okay. So we kind of, if it takes a year to get done, we kind of have to get on it here pretty quick. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, at least to give us that, you know, that, the time it takes to,
And did you budget for this? No.
no,
And the funds 4374 come from?
in-kind, labor, hours that I would put into it.
So we also take, I think when the Chief Allard, when he did it, we took attendance, because there were some meetings that other department heads participated, and finance provides an
Bill,
hourly,
right.
an hourly value of what that is, so.
It's got to be done, it's got to be done.
Yeah, I remember being involved with this 5 years ago, and it's a really important plan. It's important to the community and how we respond in emergencies. And
Any
so
other
I'm certainly
questions,
gonna support
comments?
it.
Seeing none, somebody want to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to authorize the fire chief to apply for a hazard mitigation plan update grant to the New Hampshire Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, and if awarded, to return to the board for acceptance of funding as required by the grant requirements.
Second.
Motion by Collins, seconded by Mark. Any further discussions or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries 5-0. Next.
Batting 500.
Yeah, maybe how the song is, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So I have before you, we have an opportunity to do some practical and live fire training at a structure at 443 Mass Road. That address is the development that's been approved at the planning board. They're putting units in there, so they're gonna tear down that house. And they offered us the opportunity to go in and do some real practical training, you know, roof work and all of that. And then at the end, we would have live fire trainings. And in a day, it's a one-day thing. And then when it's done, we burn it down.
That's 114A, right?
Yep. So there's a very involved process with Department of Environmental Services, fire standards. And this is one of the legal parts of it, is to enter into a agreement with the owner of the property. So before we wanted the board to consider it, and if they did sign it, we want to first just get a consensus whether the board would be willing to allow us to do this training before we, go any further in the step.
I'm trying to picture the building. Is this the kind of
real estate
ranch style?
No.
This is the old Century
Oh,
21
okay,
building.
yeah, okay, thank you. No.
Chief, I just had a question. I know in the past that the union has helped with some trainings where they had other fire professionals come in and participate. Is this an area where that could be done as well?
So we will offer some training to our mutual aid partners, and actually, we need them, on the day of the fire, to make sure we have enough resources.
Right.
So they will be involved in it.
It's usually more than one day. I mean, isn't it, don't you do part like a roof, cut up on a roof one day, or?
So that part, that'll go on for 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
Before, and then you get to a point where you can't do too much more practical, because then you're talking about, the stability of the building and everything else like that. So, I shouldn't have said one day, it could be 2 days, depending on weather, but typically within that 1 or 2 days, the structure goes down, property owners are responsible for cleaning it up, and
Remember when I did that to my brother's house?
it's very regulated.
Derek, I saw the legal review with the red line. Is there a time frame that they're given to clean it up? Or Chief, do you recommend that? Like if they
I
agree
think
to
that's the one
this,
thing we did not add on there. I know we did put that they are responsible for it, but we did not put a,
And this is an active building project, so I know that contractor is gonna want to, get it cleared up and start the clearing of that land.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure I know that you guys can tell people when the rubble's safe, but I would like to make sure we have something in there about the,
The length of time it takes to clean it up.
yeah, so we don't have a burnt building just sitting in a lot on Mass Road for an extended period of time. We don't think that would be an issue, but I would like that in there if possible.
what timeline do you think is appropriate?
I don't know, or if they have a guess of like how quickly after they could,
We can suggest,
I'll say 3 weeks.
is that, I guess, I don't know
Or a
what's
month or
reasonable.
whatever.
I just want to prevent like a year's worth of just
3
having
weeks,
burnt
I'll
rubble
be
sitting
fair,
in a
3 weeks
lot.
to a month, clean it up.
we'll give them a timeline of 30 days.
30 days, yeah.
And they have not had an opportunity to review the agreement. We just got the comments that you had on the table with the red line. That was reviewed by Primex.
Okay.
We incorporated Primex's suggestions, and then the red line are the suggestions that the town attorney added in.
Yeah,
So we'll add that timetable and then provide a copy to the property owner, because ultimately they'll need to agree to that.
and maybe they'll have a crew scheduled for, I mean, I don't know what's reasonable, but just something so that if it doesn't happen, we have something to go back on.
Yep.
And I think 30 days is reasonable, and that way it's a date certain, it doesn't put us in a no man's land. I wasn't sure
Yeah,
what
not
you
only
meant,
that-
what you meant by it, well, here's.
Weather or anything
Yeah,
could
exactly.
impact somebody's
Right.
project. And they'll go in there and clean that up in a day.
Do we need a motion, Derek?
Yes, if you would motion to approve the draft release of liability and training agreement with the added stipulation that cleanup will be completed within 30 days of the final event, or the fire department's training activity.
So
I'll make-
moved.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll second.
Motion by Collins. I want you to repeat that.
Now we're gonna repeat all that.
Seconded by Kelly. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
Chief, will you invite us to that when that happens?
Yeah, I'm just gonna supply the hot dogs.
Kevin wants to go on the tower ladder.
I do, always.
There was one more item on the agenda. There's nothing in your packet, but the chief did have a bid spec out for the floors, for the flooring project at Station 2, the Bernardville Station. We received no timely bids, but we did receive a bid that was approximately 10 minutes late. We have not opened it, but we would ask, I know that vendor did reach out to the chief that morning, was unaware of the deadline and wasn't sure if they were gonna be able to get it in time. But that was the only bid, so we were just asked for the board's permission to open that bid and bring a recommendation back to you.
Mark, you have a question?
I was just gonna say, can we blame this on the post office for it being late, or was it hand
It
delivered?
was hand delivered.
Okay,
He left me a message around 12 o'clock,
yeah,
but I
I'm
didn't see
still
them.
okay with it, 10
I
minutes.
didn't see the
There's
message.
no other bids, so
Yeah,
that's-
yeah.
we can open it up as far as I'm
But just, I wanna make sure if you're gonna have a construction over there, we don't do the floor before the construction. Dragging all the mud and everything else in there.
I'll make that motion to allow
Thank you.
the bid.
Second,
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Mark. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
So that's actually 3 out of 4. I'll take it.
There you go.
Thank
And
you.
one that's an easy move forward,
we're on
so.
a better streak than the Red Sox, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Derek, I think you're up, aren't you?
Yes, at tab 8A, you have your committee meeting assignment for the next 2 weeks. Budget committee tours continue tomorrow night at the fire department. They'll begin at Station 2, the Bernardville Station.
Yep.
Wednesday, 6:30 PM, the Historic District Commission meets at Grassmere Town Hall.
Yep,
And Conservation Commission will be at 7 PM in this room.
Yes, I have it.
And on Thursday, the Budget Committee tours at Bartley Elementary and Maple Ave. But just a reminder, that's your employee appreciation barbecue.
I'm gonna see if I can hop over for,
Bartlett.
we'll see. But I would anticipate Danielle no on attendance for me, but I'll come over if I can.
Okay.
Because we'll all be busy.
And yes, the employee appreciation barbecue would be 5 o'clock. We've advertised as 5 o'clock till dusk. Just a reminder, next Monday is Labor Day. So in observation of that, this coming Saturday, August 31st, the town transfer station will be closed. On Labor Day, on the Monday, Town Hall, the Goffstown Public Library, and DPW offices will be closed. Curbside collection will remain on schedule for the entire week, though. On Wednesday at 6 PM, Economic Development Council will meet in this room. I believe
That's me also.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. And then Thursday, 6 PM, Budget Committee Facility Tour at Glen Lake School and Mountain View Middle School.
Yep. Got a busy 2 weeks.
Is there a library meeting in there?
Normally, they meet on the first and third Wednesday.
Which would be
Which should
Wednesday,
be-
which would be the,
I didn't see it on the calendar, but let me,
Maybe because it's not a full week.
I will confirm one way or the other. I will check with Diane
Okay.
and see.
Derek, I also just want to mention, Gary had made that recommendation about people getting confused about the curbside collection being on schedule because of the holiday, so maybe this would be a good time because, again, for Labor Day, the curbside will be on the day.
So we typically put an announcement out on the DPW Facebook as well as the Town Hall Facebook. And we recommend that residents follow those accounts. And then we will also put an announcement on the website, the homepage under the news. And we recommend that those are really the two best sources of information for residents.
Great,
so
thank you.
just to make sure everybody knows who's watching TV, transfer station is gonna be closed on Saturday, August 31st. Town Hall, Goffstown Public Library, DPW offices are closed, but curbside collection is still on schedule. So if you have scheduled collection on that Monday on the holiday, it will continue to be picked up.
Your next page, you have your consent agenda. You have employee status reports. You have 2 police crossing guards New hires, their rates were approved at your August 12th meeting. You have a DPW seasonal laborer resignation for the end of the season. DPW seasonal engineering intern, a resignation, again, end of the season. You have a full-time firefighter. This is a promotion of a call firefighter to a full-time firefighter, or I'm sorry, a call EMT to a full-time firefighter. You have a per diem paramedic resignation, a per diem EMT new hire, and then you have a master firefighter. This is a new designation for one of our full-time firefighters that met the qualifications for that.
Motion to approve the consensus agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
Any questions? How many master firefighters do we have now?
I think 4.
4? Thank you. So we had a motion by Mark, seconded by Kelly. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
At your next page, or next tab, 8C, you have the 2024 MS1. This is the summary inventory of valuation prepared by the assessor. It represents a 1.2% increase over the 2023 value. So that's a little bit higher than we were anticipating.
What did we anticipate, 1?
We didn't give a, because we were just coming out of the reval. We did not, when we did the voter's guide, I don't think we did a tax rate, so we didn't assume an amount. Normally we assume that it's only going to be 0.5%, but the utilities went up quite a bit. And also another item that the assessor highlighted is the value of the veterans tax credits because of the action taken at town meeting. There was an increase in not necessarily the number of credits, but the value of those credits, and that's highlighted there. And we just asked for the board to approve this and sign the version that's in the signature folder.
I'll make a motion to, oh, go ahead.
Anybody got any questions? Not seeing any. Go ahead, Kelly.
I'll make a motion to approve the MS1 2024 net valuation for the town.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes 5-0.
At tab 8D, you have the ordinance for the Church Street neighborhood 25-mile-per-hour speed limit ordinance. You held public hearings on July 22nd and August 12th. There was no public comment at those meetings. Again, if enacted, the entire lengths of Church Street, Clinton Street, Depot Street, Kendall Hadley Row, and White Street would have a maximum speed limit of 25 miles per hour. And you have the final draft for adoption in your packet as well as your signature folder.
I'll make the motion to adopt the Church Street neighborhood speed limit ordinance, setting the maximum speed limit of 25 miles per hour, the entire lengths of Church Street, Clinton Street, Depot Street, Kendall Hadley Row, and White Street, and to direct the Department of Public Works to install speed limit signs in appropriate locations.
Second.
Motion by Collis, seconded by Mark. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
That's all I had for the town administrator's report.
Now, the legislative policy. And we're going to look at just the red.
If you have your August 12th
Packet, yep.
packet, it was under tab 6H.
Yep.
And the first one is, if you go to page 45 of that, and I tried to dog-ear everybody's, you have a red line.
I saw that quite straightened out the dog.
You have the red line to show what has changed from the adopted policies from the last biennium by NHMA, and then the proposed changes to the legislative principles. So I think what I would be asking for you tonight is to assign a delegate to vote at the September 27th Legislative Policy Conference. If the board likes, you can go through each of the policies one by one, or you can support as written. And then so those are the policies, and then you need to vote whether or not to support the proposed principles.
Derek, are you still all set with being the delegate?
I am.
Okay, great. So I'll make that motion to appoint the town administrator or assistant town administrator if needed, to vote as the delegate on the select board's behalf at the 2024 NHMA Legislative Policy Conference.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Mark. Discussion, yes. So are we approving what we have in front of us?
We haven't gotten there yet based on the recommendations for motions. I was just appointing whatever we decide that Derek and/or Danielle, if he can't attend, would vote on our behalf. We haven't voted on the policies themselves.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes. Next.
So the next motion, which I'm not going to make, but it said the board should vote whether to support each of the highlighted policies. If there's a vote not to support, then we would tell them what to modify. Is there anything you guys want to go through in particular?
Well, I think that, this, I guess I gotta fall out, bounce it off. Where it talks about the elections process, there's nothing there that, there it is. So they're crossing out, I'm on page 46. They're crossing out halfway down, elections. Crossing out should be fair and open, and they're just striking that completely?
That's a recommendation from I think that's the government or general administration subcommittee, that they would strike out that sentence and focus simply that it should be simple and convenient. But yes, they
I think the word open is controversial.
That's what you think it is?
I think so.
Okay. That goes from back here, back and forth, so I got it, yeah.
Now, can we ask them to add things to this, or is it?
So there, it's more at this point open for a discussion. The timeframe for proposing a floor amendment, that would be completely different, but there is a discussion that goes on. What they will do is they'll have a representative that comes from, so each of the subcommittees are made up of government employees, or local members. They can also be select board members that serve on those, and they'll actually get up and present each one. So you have somebody from general governance get up, and they'll present, let's say, just looking at the first one, local authority and efficiency. They'll explain why they made those changes, why they struck out items, and why they added. There will actually be they do open it for discussion, and there is a discussion amongst all the representative members there. whether or not to amend, this is just a recommendation. So if there's something that you'd like to see amended and I'm aware of it, I could bring that to the attention.
Well, it did strike that it should be fair and open. However, it also goes on to say, without risking election integrity or security, which to me implies the same thing, fair and open. So, I don't have any
Yeah, I'm
problem.
good with that.
I don't have any problem with that.
No. I'm moving on to 48, page 48. So it appears that, and not that I have, that looks like a battleground with any legislation allowing for selling, distributing, or storing cannabis or cannabis products shall include and require for host community agreement. So what they're saying is it has to have the town's approval, is that what that? They're
So this-
opposing that.
They're opposing, and just for the benefit of anybody, so NHMA opposes legislation that authorizes the sale of cannabis unless the following requirements or conditions are included, and that's where the processing, manufacture, refinement, or sale products in any municipality shall only be permitted after the legislative body of that municipality has adopted the provisions. So you're basically similar.
Keno.
Similar to what was done with Keno a few years ago. You would, a municipality, they're basically saying, any legislation that allows for the sale of it, it should be up to town meeting to authorize or not authorize it.
Okay, I just was looking for clarification, I was kind
Yes.
of.
Yeah, so you need to opt in, not say no. It's, the default is no, we won't do it until somebody would bring that question forward, very similar to what we did with Keno.
That was another one, where the hell was it? Page, I want to go back just to page 34. That just dawned on me.
34, you said?
Yep, and it says where it's the opposes. You go down to the last where it says restrictions on municipalities' ability to privatize or use contracted services. How do you read that one? That says we can't, if I read that right, we can't demand a contracted service be like a union. Is that true? Is that what that says?
Which, are you in the bullets up at the top of the
It
page?
says opposes.
Yep.
You go down all the way down to that paragraph, is all those bullets. There's one that says restrictions on municipalities' ability to privatize or use contracted services.
Oh, in the top section, got it.
Yeah, so this would, NHMA would oppose any legislation that potentially restricts municipalities to change to from a public employee doing a job rather than, they don't want to see anything that restricts a town from doing that if a town so chooses.
So if you want to take a
Contract out.
union position and make it a non-union position, they oppose that.
I think this is more if you were going to do contracted services. If you were going to go from something that you have, towns typically have public employees, there's nothing to say that the governing body could not put that out to a contracted service and pay a third party.
So they
I would
oppose
say-
the
I would-
restrictions. That's
They oppose restrictions. I say, we don't really do that much in town, but I would say the back-on truck, the way the town is kind of transformed from having a back-on truck that is used by DPW and sewer employees to now we are almost primarily contracting that service out on an as-needed basis.
Or even using a contracted vendor to assist with some of the IT things. It's not necessarily removing a job from our employees, but it's assisting with their workload and monitoring ability.
Well, no, they're just, NHMA is opposing any restrictions, so that.
They want governing bodies to have that flexibility.
Right. I read through this thing, I've got some things that I want to be. Anybody else got anything?
No?
If there's a particular bill that comes out throughout the legislative year, we can still oppose it or object, or whatever.
Yes, this is how the NHMA staff
Right.
determine what, if they're going to take a position or not.
Right.
Okay.
So if you're okay with the proposed legislative policies, I would ask, I think you have a motion in your current packet. If you support the policies as written, I'd ask you to take a vote to support the policies as written. And then if you want to just look quickly at the proposed principles, those are on page 44 of your August packet. But I'd ask for a separate vote for policies. You don't necessarily need to go through all the policies page by page, but if you're okay with all the proposed changes, and then if you're okay with the proposed principles.
So I'll make a motion that the select board support the proposed policies as, I'm sorry, the proposed,
So I would say the
Okay.
proposed 2025, 2026 legislative policies as presented.
thank you.
Second that.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Jim. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes. Now
And
we're
then the
doing proposed
principles.
principles.
And the only item that changed on the proposed principles is, again, we're in your August 12th packet on page 44. They added principle number 12. Support the rights of cities and towns to advocate, individually or collectively, for or against legislation and to join, hire, or establish organizations that do so on their behalf. I think we have seen in probably the last two legislative sessions an effort to do away with organizations that lobby on behalf of cities and towns. And this is adding a legislative principle that would advocate to continue to have organizations like NHMA that can collect their members' feelings on an item and lobby for or against it.
I'll make a motion that the select board supports the proposed principles as presented.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded Mark, for supporting New Hampshire Municipal Association proposed principles 25-26. Is that correct? Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes. Now let's go over to action matrix. We're still working on all of these, aren't we?
Yes, I hope that, I was aiming to have your RFP for the police station space needs analysis for tonight, but some other items came up since the last meeting, so I want to meet with the chief to just go over those final things and bring that to you on September 9th. And then we continue to monitor Kennedy Hill Road. The municipal waiver of liability that the board approved allowed for maintenance of 20 feet of width within the right-of-way, but we'll just make sure that maintaining a 20-foot width does not mean constructing a road out there. So building inspector, and we'll also meet with DPW to make sure that that condition is maintained.
Firehouse, we're still waiting on that, right?
The firehouse sub-grant, has that been submitted, or?
It's such a competitive grant that the day the grant opened and we went and applied, they only take 6,000 applications in.
You were 6,001?
Probably,
Really?
Probably.
Wow.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
So,
So that's a,
Yeah,
that's a
let's-
rolling
what-
application?
yes.
Right where you're at, we're gonna talk about the ambulance next. And didn't I see something where we were going out for a rental or something, or?
Yes, we're gonna lease an ambulance. Ambulance 3 should have been gone 3-4 years ago, but, you know, it is in service, but it's got a lot that needs to keep it up. So the insurance company will cover a leased ambulance for up to $5,000. So we have leased one through our ambulance vendor, should be here this week, and we have to do very little to it. We actually bought magnetic stickers for it and gotta tune the radio, and it's gotta be inspected by the state, but, so we hope to have that in service. And the other one was towed down to Allegiance, and they need to go through it and confirm whether that frame is bent or not. But they couldn't roll it or something like that, so they are working on that.
All right, thank you. Anybody got anything else? New business? Anybody got any new business? I would just think, maybe, Derek, that maybe we should determine Tower Lane. Let's go keep an eye on that project over there.
Yes, I know the town engineer and town planner have met a couple times on that, and I will get an update from them on where that stands. They met with the town attorney to go over some issues out there, so I'll meet with them. There were some acts for other board members, there were some access issues with some of the back properties, because it was never accepted as a town road, so I'll work with Joanne and Scott on that.
But the owners sold them, but they can't, these people can't get to their lot. Is that where it stands now, or you're not sure?
I'm not sure, I'm not quite up
Okay.
to speed on that, so I'll have to get up to speed with Joanne.
Okay. Anything else? Motion, Mark?
Yeah, second, public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, is there anybody here for public comment? Don't all speak at once, seeing none, move on.
And I did not have a planned non-public, so
What that means, motion adjourned.
unless the board had something they
We
needed.
got some non-publics in here, though.
I always attach that at the back in case the board does have a matter that needs to be
I
brought
think
up.
that's last week.
Oh, this is the old one, yeah, okay. That's right. So the motion, Mark, was
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
seconded by Kelly. Any questions? Jim, do you want to stay longer?
It's past my
All in favor?
already.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.